Hello, everybody. I'm Viviana Guzman here with the Flute View. And our special guest this afternoon is Sarah Hollandsworth, who is the sales director of JLSmith, which owns Flute World.
Hi there.
Welcome,
Yeah,
Sarah.
thanks so much. It's great to be here with you guys today.
Oh, it's so lovely. And we see that you're in San Francisco right now.
I am. I'm at our new Flute World store in San Francisco. So
how is that going? The store?
So good. Oh, it's so good. We had an amazing first quarter, exceeded expectations. The flute community out here on the West Coast has been amazing and welcoming and supportive. And so I couldn't be more pleased with how it's going.
Excellent.
And I love the display in the back. I see Fluter scooter bags and also a ton of sheet music.
Yep.
So how much do you have in the store in San Francisco versus what you have in the store in Michigan?
Yeah, great question. It's definitely a manicured selection here. Our space here is small, but it's a great size for what we're doing here right now. So we've, with print music, sent over kind of the core titles, the conservatory pieces, the methods, the collections, the more popular options for people. And then we are just anything that anybody wants that's not in the store, we're having transferred from our main flagship store in Michigan. So anything that's on fluteworld.com can be sent here for people to come look through before they buy it. Similarly with accessories, we've got a lot of the higher end bags and that sort of thing, and cleaning supplies and that sort of thing. But anything that's shoppable on fluteworld.com, we can get it here in a matter of a day or two. So, yeah.
What motivated JLSmith, Flute World, to open up a San Francisco outpost?
Yeah. So lots of things. So we have a long history of a client base in this region. For many years, we've done a California road show, like a trunk show every year, where either myself or some of my staff comes out and does a tour of universities and various things in this region. So we have a lot of fans out here, and it's something we've wanted to do for a long time, and actually had looked at different locales like Southern California up through Seattle, and settled here kind of out of luck. I actually stumbled across this space last year on a trip that I was out here for fun, really, and was in this neighborhood and saw this space and thought, man, that would make a great flute store, and snapped a photo of the lease sign and thought, well, it's San Francisco, it's gonna be more than we really want to spend on a space. And it wasn't, and it's perfect. So yeah. Additionally, I love it here. I can't say I'm at all sad that this is where we ended up on the West Coast. It's really one of my favorite places on earth. So yes.
I love the foot traffic. I can see people and cars, and that's what makes it really special.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's different for us, right? So JLSmith and Company in Charlotte is in a really great spot, not far from the airport. We do manufacturing and things there. So it's more of an industrial building with a showroom up front. Where we do flute sales out of the front of this more like office industrial type building. So people come there to see us to get their flute service or to buy a flute, but no one's walking by. And similarly in Michigan, that's our hub. That's where everything ships that's ordered on fluteworld.com. It's in a great convenient spot to get to, but not foot traffic. So this is a totally new thing for us to be in a place where people just walk by and peer in the window. And it's been amazing. Every time I'm here, every day almost, someone walks in who just stumbled on it, and they're either in the city on vacation and they play the flute and they're like, oh my God, it's Flute World. Like what, or, they live in this neighborhood and they play the flute, or they used to play the flute. And it's a special place. It really is.
You've had a lot of events there already. And I mean,
Yeah.
you just opened a couple months ago and boom, 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 boom. Tell us about the event.
Yeah, so we've been doing a couple different things. We've had a series of like flute maker showcases. So we've had Altus here, we've had Brannon here, we've had Abel flutes here, and soon, I think in May, Haynes is coming. So we're trying to do, bring in our the vendors that we work with to showcase their instruments. A lot of times that also comes with the opportunity for an artist that represents that brand to be here as well. And so we have been also doing master classes and recitals. Last weekend, Laurel Zucker was here and she did a etude master class, So definitely one of my big goals with this is not only to be a resource for flutists on the West Coast, but for this to be a community like hub. So we're trying to do things that bring the community here to gather and socialize and, be flute nerds.
Right. Absolutely.
What do you have coming up? Any other, you said Haynes in May?
In May, Haynes is coming, and Ben Smolin will do a masterclass and little mini recital in May. And in June, Allie Ryerson's coming to do like a jazz workshop. Burkhart may be here in June as well. That's still getting flushed out.
Oh, well, if artists come to you, tell them to come to Flutes by the Sea as well, June 11th to 15.
Oh, absolutely. And actually, Ethan might be at that. And that's why he might be here with Burkhart.
Oh, okay, awesome.
So,
awesome.
Bringing it all together.
Yes, the more the merrier.
Yes.
So Sarah, now that you have 3 locations, I'm just curious, how do you divide your time? You must be on planes a lot. I mean, are you 1 week in San Francisco, 1 week in Detroit, 1 week in, that gets crazy. And you have shows. So I imagine much.
I do. I spend a lot of time not at home, and I by and large, I love it. Home, actually, good point. My house and my dogs and my other half are in Charlotte. So that's home base, and I'm not there that much. So by and large, I love it though. And I will say the majority of my travel for the last 6 months has been here to San Francisco because this is a new venture and because I like being here a lot. So that's been a lot of my travel is being here. And then it has been show season. So show season, there's a lot going on from the end of January through April-ish. And so I've been sort of going back and forth between home and San Francisco and sprinkling in these shows. As far as Detroit with the main Flute World store, I have an amazing team there. Bill Roby is our store manager there, and he's fantastic. And so I, don't have to be there as much anymore because things are running smoothly. And, so I try to get there a minimum of once a quarter. I was there around the holidays and actually just there a few weeks ago. Yeah, that's kind of.
So Sarah, how did you get into this business? That's intense.
I know. Let's see. I started in the flute business in 2007. I was in between undergrad and master's, and I took quite a bit of time off. I was out of school for about 5 years. And I was working at a Borders bookstore, mostly for the insurance, and teaching flute lessons and gigging. And someone forwarded me a job posting for JLSmith and Company. And it was for a sales associate. And I thought, man, that'd be a lot better than shelving books at Borders, So I applied and fortunately got hired. And that's how I got started. And that was in 2007. And so I assisted back then in helping people find new flutes and whatever the company needed really at the time. It was a lot smaller in 2007 than it is now. And I did that for about 2 years, and then I still wanted to get that master's in flute. So I actually went back to school and studied with Trudy Kane at the University of Miami for 2 years to do a master's. And what was interesting is by the time I got towards the end of that, I realized I really missed the business and just using that part of my brain and interacting with the people in the community in that way and doing the shows. And so I actually made the choice towards the end of grad school to start looking to get back into the business. And I had kept a toe in it. I had a friend at the time that was the sales manager for Altus Flutes, and I did some shows for them during school and stayed active. And so after I graduated, I actually contacted JLSmith and Company, Jeff Smith, and just said, hey, I'm looking to get back in the business. If you hear of any openings, just please let me know. And he actually said, well, I need somebody to run the flute part of my business. So let's talk. And it's kind of history from there. So I ended up going back to work at JLSmith in a much more substantial role. And then obviously the company's grown exponentially since then. So I joined the team again. That would have been 2012. And here we are, 2019, with Flute World, 2 locations. We bought Altieri instrument bags last year, as well as like an additional manufacturing component that we do. And I definitely stay busy. So
I have a question because I was recently on a feed on Facebook, a group conversation. Somebody in Seattle was asking, who are the repair people in the West Coast?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a repair team there, or how
we haven't hired somebody yet, but that's the intent. We actually have a full repair bench set up already, ready to go, and it's right in one of the windows, so it's fun. So as people pass by on the street, they can actually watch flutes being repaired, which is something that we wanted to do. We have a candidate that we're very serious about. We're still just trying to work out the details of that. So for right now, we're taking in repairs here and transferring them to one of our other 2 repair shops, either in Michigan or North Carolina. But before the end of the year, we will have full-time technician here on site. Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of interest in that. We get calls, many times a week with people asking about
people, it's nice that you're here, visible, and I mean, I think you'll get tons of business from that end as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And repair, like, I don't know if you guys know, or our viewers would know that JLSmith was started by Jeff Smith, and it started as a repair business. Like, he's a repairman. So that's kind of where everything grew from. So it's still a core focus of our company, and we approach or even the instruments that we choose to sell and how we do that process with people from with the perspective of how the instrument's constructed and how it's best maintained and this sort of thing. So it's an integral part of our business still. So we definitely want to offer that to our West Coast customers.
Beautiful.
I had a question too. There are a lot of other music shops on the West Coast, not necessarily flute shops, but do you find any competition with them or any kind of turf wars? It's not ice cream trucks, but I don't know.
Turf wars. Not so far.
The window's broken.
Duels. Yeah, no, not yet, at least. There's certainly, band instrument suppliers and that sort of thing around. By and large, most of them are catering to young students and music programs and doing rentals and this sort of thing. So there's not a ton of crossover. And so far, everybody's been really welcoming. So no hard feelings that I know about, at least.
Yeah, because it seems you're a boutique market. It's not
right.
The traditional band rental.
It's very specialized, just flutes, and really working with the flute players and the flute community to serve their specific needs. So, and no one else is doing that over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any new exciting ventures coming out of JLSmith Flute World?
You know, we've always got ideas, that's for sure. Like, we're always kind of looking on the horizon. This is still pretty fresh in San Francisco, so we do like to take due diligence and really settle into a project and get things moving forward before jumping onto the next thing. But you can be sure we're thinking about it. You know, we do have ideas about potentially other locations in terms of Flute World. And from the manufacturing wholesale side, we're always looking for other other projects or acquisitions that make sense inside the business model we already have. So yeah, there's possibilities on the horizon for sure.
So the business model is flutes, flute music, manufacturing, repair,
Yeah.
accessories.
Yeah, so we're serving musicians. So our mission or purpose is to elevate the experience of musicians, whether that's through excellent repair, the manufacturing we do of tools and parts and supplies that technicians use to do that excellent repair. We make pads, this like all kinds of things like that. You know, the Altieri bags, you know, that's a quality, you know, case cover option for people, like a carry-all sort of thing. So anything that's going to, again, elevate musicians, help them more fully enjoy what they're doing. And it's heavily flute focused, always has been. And that goes back to the beginning. You know, Jeff found himself doing a lot of high-end flute repair. And so therefore then the next progression was to sell flutes. And now we own Flute World, you know, so it's definitely always going to be flute focused and flute centric, with some other products as well that serve musicians at large.
Jeff is actually a guitarist, right?
He is, yes.
That's his first instrument.
That is, yes.
I found that a lot of like the owners of these companies aren't actually flutists by trade, but they play other instruments and they're just drawn to the flute. And then there are people like you who know everything about the flute and that knowledge.
Yeah, you know, we make a good team. He is a guitar player. He can play the flute enough to play test a flute. And but he's got a very mechanical mind, right? Very creation and design oriented person, and you know, fixing problems. So there is very makes sense very much that he went into repair and repairing instruments. So you've got a musician who loves music, who likes fixing and creating things, and so repair was kind of a natural thing. And then also just a naturally good business person. So yeah, that's his
obvious entrepreneurial skills.
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
From which I would assume that you've learned a lot in this process, because you started off as an artist and then this happened. And
Yes. Yeah. It's a whole different thing, right? I certainly, when I stepped into undergrad, flute performance didn't see this, but I'm so thankful and so grateful for it. And I love it. And again, I think I said this earlier, it uses kind of a different part of the brain, which I enjoy and I'm good at, and it feels good. And so it's been this really nice mixture of my artistic creative side, and like working with people and that sort of thing, with also the business end of it. And I have learned so much from working with Jeff, continue to every day. So.
And Sarah, I think I've also read maybe somewhere a while ago that you do life coaching as well.
Oh yeah. Fun. Thanks for actually mentioning that. That was a new venture. I guess that kind of started a couple of years ago now. I had a friend who did this coach training program in New York, and she's actually a yoga instructor and has like a wellness career. So it was kind of a natural thing for her. And she was sort of telling me about it. And I actually went with her. This program was in New York. And I went with her one weekend and observed this class. And while I was not, I'm not looking to make a career change. So much of the concepts were really applicable to running a business, to leading people, to working with people. And there was a ton of personal development that was a part of it. And something about it just drew me in. You know, I went home from that observation and it kind of just like stuck in the back of my head, some of the things that were discussed and how I thought I could use it and how it would be good for me. And after a lot of like mulling on it and feeling like, oh, I can't justify, you know, spending a whole year going to New York once a month for a life coach program. That's crazy. I ended up just doing it because something said I should do it. And it was great. It was, again, something different. I'm always kind of looking for that like new thing, right? And it was a great experience. I took a lot from it. I did a lot of like personal growth and personal development. It's really impacted how I relate to work, how I relate to my employees, how I, you know, interact with people. And so, yeah, I am doing a little bit of that work on the side. So I have a couple coaching clients that I actually work with. A lot of them are people, you know, in career change or, you know, looking to start something new or go in a different direction with their life. And I don't know, I just enjoy those conversations. So,
Great.
yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, as we kind of tie up our interview here, the one question that we always ask as a finale, the grand finale, what kind of advice can you offer to young flutists out there? I mean, you have such a different background. I mean, colorful, and then the outcome has just turned out completely different than what you anticipated. So what sort of special nuggets do you have to share with us?
Oh man. So, you know, the thing that popped in my head as soon as you said that was for young people that love the flute and know they want to do something with the flute, to just keep an open mind about the options, right? It's a lot of us, myself included, we get sort of in this pipeline for performance, and that's great, and there's nothing wrong with that. But again, like when I stepped my foot onto campus for undergrad, I could not imagine being where I'm at today, having this conversation with you guys. And I'm, again, so blessed and thankful that I am here. And so I just like to tell people to like explore all the options, to consider repair, consider the industry, consider everything. Nothing's off limits. Consider life coaching. Because I mean, you can do that from anywhere, and you can play the flute while you do that. I mean, it's just there's so many options and opportunities and ways to stay a part of this community, whether it's playing in an orchestra or whatever you're doing. So that's one of my big things for people, is to just like find your spot, and you will find it. Like the path is always just a little different than you thought it would be.
Right? Absolutely. Yeah. No, I love your varied, colorful sort of history and path, unusual and inspirational as well. So
thanks.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's turned out pretty good.
And I look forward to visiting.
Yes, all of you need to get your butts here.
I will see you in October.
Next time I'm in California, I promise.
Okay, let me know.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been the Flute View interview with Sarah Hollandsworth, and learning about her path and her history and wonderful gift that she gives to the whole flute community through Flute World and JLSmith. So thank you so much for sharing with us this afternoon.
Thank you. So great to be here. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.